Good afternoon. Just like we announced in our previous video, today we'll be talking about reincarnation according to the ancient wise Hebrew prophets. They use parables, metaphors, and allegories to talk about this topic. Even so, that in the first centuries of our era was very normal to talk about it, and it was commonly believed in the time that Jesus lived. In fact, the prophet Malachi, who is the last recognized prophet according to the biblical canon, announces that the spirit of the prophet Elijah would come back with a specific mission, and that was to prepare and announce the Messiah by declaring this well-known phrase, "I am a voice crying out in the desert, prepare the way for the Lord." Welcome to the virtual school, The Force Awakens. Today, we will use as examples 5 characters from the Old Testament, and the first of them is the patriarch Job. We can find in the book that carries his name in chapter 14, verse 7 up to verse 14, that he talks about this allegory between the life of man and the trees. I am going to read for you this text. This is the first text talking about the spirits coming and going. For there is hope for a tree, if it is cut down, that it will sprout again, and that its tender shoots will not cease. This text is a clear allusion of the way the spirit of man comes and goes. Even so, that Job is announcing here that when a man dies and goes back to those subtle spiritual states to meet with the spiritual mind, the Creator, once it drinks from the water, it sprouts again, and it comes back to this earth to incarnate in a new body. A second text from this allegory says like this: "So man lies down and does not rise until the heavens are no more. They will not awake nor arise from their sleep. If a man dies, will he live again? All the days of my hard service I will wait," says Job, "until my mutation comes." In this text, we can see how the patriarch Job, using a question, wants to make an affirmative statement about what is on his mind. And this is the following. He asks, "Will he live again?" Of course, because his answer confirms it, saying that he will wait until his mutation comes, meaning that Job is waiting in the process of passing from life to life, reincarnating until his mutation is completed. He is completely transformed in a spiritual being and can go back to the nucleus, the Father, the Creator of all things. The second character that we are going to mention is the wise Salomon. In the book of Ecclesiastes in chapter 1 verse 7, 9 and 11, and later on in chapter 3 verse 15 also makes an allegory regarding to the come and go of the spirits. We are also going to cite some texts to strengthen the idea of reincarnation. In our opinion, this allegory is showing us how reincarnation works. The spirit reincarnates first, then it disembodies, and it comes back to reincarnate again. This is what the text says. "All the streams flow into the sea, but the sea is not full, and to the place where the streams flow, there they will flow again. What exists now is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. There is nothing truly new on this earth. Is there anything about which someone can say, 'Look at this, is it new?' It was already done long ago, before our time. No one remembers the former events, nor will anyone remember the events that are yet to happen. They will not be remembered by the future generations. Whatever exists now has already been, and whatever will be has already been. For God will seek to do again what has occurred in the past. What we can find in this passage is an answer to a question that many people have. How is it possible if I can remember my past lives? Here we can see that it clearly says that man cannot remember his past. It gives us an explanation on why we can't remember what we already lived. The ancient wise men said, "We have decided to drink from the cup of oblivion." The third character we are going to mention is the prophet Ezekiel. One of his most famous passages, known worldwide, is the Valley of the Dry Bones, a vision that can be found in his book in chapter 37, verses 1 up to verse 14. In this passage, which has been interpreted as a prophecy that announces Israel's restoration, the virtual school, The Force Awakens, sees here a clear allusion to the process of reincarnation. There is a strong emphasis that Ezekiel makes on the words dry bones, and is repeated in different ways as if Ezekiel wanted to make emphasis on how men turn into dust over and over again. I am going to read for you some passages that will help us clarify this topic of reincarnation. I am going to start with Ezekiel. First text. A valley that was full of many bones, very dry bones, completely dry. Second text. Son of a man, can these bones live? I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will cause flesh to come upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live. The third text says, There was a sound, and behold, a rattling, and the bones came together, bone to its bone. And I looked, and behold, there were sinews on them, and flesh had come upon them, and skin had covered them, but there was no breath in them. And the Lord God said, Spirit, come from the four winds, O breath, and I breathe on these slain, so that they may live. And the breath came into them, and they lived and stood on their feet. The last text says, And I will put my spirit within you, and you shall live, and I will place you in your own land. I will make a brief allusion now to the prophet Amos. He makes one of the most impressive declarations about reincarnation, and this is what it says in his book in chapter 9, verse 2. If they dig into Sheol, from there shall my hand take them. If they climb up to the heaven, from there I will bring them down. Amos affirms that the spirits that are down there in the Sheol must ascend, and the ones that are in the heavens must descend, meaning a continuous movement of the spirits, because it doesn't matter where they are, they will be trapped in the process until they complete their learning and evolutionary process as a soul. This way, the experience is not only on a soul level, but also on a body of a man that has chosen to come to earth. Our fifth character is the patriarch Jacob. He has a lot of impressive stories, but we are going to use the one that is found in the book of Genesis, chapter 28, verses 11 to 19. Here, we will find the ladder of Jacob. We will also have several texts to see how the process of reincarnation works, specifically talking about our offspring. These are the texts. First, there was a ladder set up on the earth, the gate of heavens. Second, angels of God were ascending and descending on it. Third, the land on which you lie I will give to you and to your offspring. Fourth, your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth. Fifth, the words of the patriarch. This is the gate of heaven. This passage, we will take into account different aspects. In first place, the words that Jacob says. This is the gate of heavens. He is referring to a land in particular, the land where he is having this vision, the land where the ladder is. Its base is on the earth and it reaches to heaven. The base is the earth and it ascends to heavens. Let's see why in this passage, even though it says that angels were ascending and descending, in reality is referring to human spirits, because we cannot think that are winged angels that come with a mission of delivering God's message to Jacob and the other patriarchs, like we've been traditionally taught. Why? Because the text clearly says that they were first ascending and then descending, not the other way around. If the case was the other way around, then we would be talking about winged angels, but it says they were ascending and then descending. It is referring to the come and go, to disincarnation and incarnation. The expression ascending and descending is referring to the death, and then descending again to a new life. The second thing that we must take into account, and it's very important we look in the context that the ladder of Jacob is. It's not in a context of messengers of God as winged angels. It is in the context of Jacob's offspring. This story is referring to human beings, to human spirits that go up and down, up and down. They come and go. If this material was useful to you, I am going to invite you to check out our virtual school format. You will be able to find sequential classes about this and other interesting topics. I recommend you to check out our playlist and be on the lookout for our next video lesson. We will be talking about reincarnation according to the first Gnostics. See you next time.